Hi guys, thanks for stopping back in. My name is Lori. I am a recruiter. You are in number 2 of a 3-part series. This is content for CEGEP and college students. CEGEP is a college system in Quebec, which is in Canada. Let's jump in. So in the first clip, I talked about your resume and how to get it up and running and ready to go. If you haven't seen it yet, take a look at that clip. And this one is about which positions to apply for. Okay, how do you know what to apply for? So let's dig in. Start with the basics. Start with understanding the type of work you like to do, the type of work you might be interested in doing down the road from a career perspective. If you don't know, don't worry about it. Let's focus on what you like to do to start with, and then apply for positions that are going to fit you properly. Because let's be honest, I mean, in order for you to go in and be your best at anything you're going to be doing, let's make sure you're at the right place, okay? So we're going to start there. That's where we're going to start, okay? So when you're looking for jobs, think to yourself, am I an outgoing person? Do I like to be in front of people? Okay, great. So you might be applying for, customer service positions, retail positions where you're on the floor at the store, or a server at a restaurant, or something like that. That makes a lot of sense. If you're a little bit more quiet and you don't like to be in front of people, you might be applying for positions that are in the back of the house from a restaurant perspective, or more of a, something in a quieter environment, doing, junior temporary positions, for example, at a university or at a business that needs some help behind the scenes. That's fine. Just sort of figure out what it is you like. If you're an outdoorsy type person, be in an environment where it is more outdoorsy than not. So know who you are and look for those type of positions, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, consider location. Where the job is matters, because if you need to get to it and it's not convenient, forget about it, or put it at the bottom of your list, like the real bottom of your list. It's just not practical to be working somewhere that is too far away. Right now, you have to consider the work from home possibility as well. If you're fine with working from home, that's great. You can look for the work from home options. Just keep in mind on a work from home thing what environment you need to do the job. So you might not just need your laptop or computer and your phone or what have you. Does it need to be quiet? What do you need? And is that the environment that you're in? Just make sure those things line up before you sign up for a work from home position. Make sure it makes sense for you. All right, so those are the things I want you to think about. Now, when you're reading job descriptions, I want you to keep the following thing in mind. Most job descriptions are awful. So they are like throwbacks to 1985 in terms of how they're written and the things they're asking for. Businesses know it. They have too much going on in general, nothing to do with, right now. It's an age-old problem. Job descriptions are not good. So they have things on it like, minimum 2 years experience. You're in college, you're in CEGEP. You don't have 2 years experience. You need the experience. Help me, give me a job. I need to get experience. Ignore the requirement. They don't need that. They put it there because they didn't have the wherewithal to take it out. Just ignore it, okay? If you see a requirement and you say to yourself, well, I can do this, but that requirement, forget about it. Just move past it. Sometimes you can't move past it. If it's a lifeguarding position and you need to have your lifeguard certification, that is a hard requirement, which we need. We know that, okay? So forget, that's obvious. But the other stuff, don't worry about it. Just ignore and move on. If you know that you can bring value to the position, apply to it, all right? Good. Now, the different types of employers you could be working with. So this is keep this in mind. You can have small businesses, for example, a landscaper or a boutique owner who owns one boutique. That's what we'd call, a small business. In that case, you're probably applying to work and you're probably speaking to the owner of the business or their right-hand person. Okay, so there's that. Then there's a medium-sized business, which could be, a bigger business that might have 50 people, 200 people, whatever. It could be that size business. So then, you sort of know that the people you're speaking to are not far from the top of the organization because of how because of their size and their structure. And you also could be applying to a large multinational. You could be applying to McDonald's, to Walmart, to one of the airlines, to one of the big insurance companies. These are massive companies, and the way they process your application is very different than a small business. What they have is what we call applicant tracking systems, which is an ATS. And those applicant tracking systems are scanning your resume for keywords and so on and so forth. It's a very different process, okay? So keep that in mind, because when you're dealing with the large multinationals, which by the way are great places to work, the banks, they're great places to work, great foundational places to work, great career opportunities for long-term, for life, for sure. But just know that when you're applying to them, it's much more sort of institutional and much more formal, and how it's done. It's very cookie cutter in terms of their process and what you have to sort of get through. So if you are going to apply to those type of positions, understand that there's a formal process that they will have to go through and you are going to have to march through. If you're applying to a small boutique or the landscaper or the day camp in your community, it's completely different. You're basically speaking to potentially somebody who's going to be part of making the decision as to whether they're hiring you or not. It's a much more personal sort of interaction. So there's, of course, no right or wrong. It's just I want you to keep that in mind when you're applying in terms of what to expect in terms of response from a potential employer. The large multinationals, actually any employer, but mostly the bigger ones, it's likely it's not uncommon that you hear nothing, literally nothing. You might get a thank you, we received your application, but after that you may never hear anything from them again. That's true of any size employer, but the smaller the employer, the stronger the likelihood that you will hear. If they do respond to you, they will keep you more in the loop, okay? So just keep those things in mind. I think that's it. I wanted to just point these things out to you because I want you to invest in applying to the right opportunities. There's many people I know that will apply to opportunities that make absolutely no sense. If you're going to throw your resume out everywhere and anywhere, I mean, you're welcome to. Nobody's going to know it. But one of the things that I run into is I speak to kids I'm saying, oh, you applied for such and such a position, and they can't even remember. Like they're like, yeah, I think so. And I'm like, well, what motivated you to apply for this position? It's like, oh, well, I need a job. I thought it would be interesting. They have no clue what I'm talking about because they don't remember, because they've applied to 75 jobs off of Indeed or Monster, and they're a little lost, and that doesn't look great. So, know where you applied, keep track of where you've applied, why you've applied to it. So if someone asks a question, what motivated you to, apply for this job? And if it's McDonald's, or if it's, if it's Foot Locker, or if it's Delta Airlines, you can say, I've always loved the brand, and so working for the company is interesting to me. And if it's the airlines, you can say, I'm an aviation buff, or I love to travel. Tell them why. If someone says, why did you apply here? You can say, well, I'm looking for work. I'm a student. I have expenses. I have college to pay for. And it's convenient. It's right near my home. And I know I can easily get back and forth and get good work and be a good worker and make the money I need to pay for my education. It's all good. Okay, so think those things through before you apply so you can bring something good to the table. I'll get into more of that when we talk about interviews in the next clip. Until then, if you have any questions, just find me. I'm super easy to reach. And also, if you think your friends might benefit from this, go ahead and share it. And I will see you on clip number 3. We'll talk about the interview, showing up on your first day when you get the job, and how to be successful longer term in the position. All right, thanks for stopping in. See you next time.